Hey, what's up, everybody? I am John. Welcome back to Wealthy Sailor. Today, we are going to be talking about organizing your finances. Now, if you're anything like me, and I assume if you're watching this, you're at least somewhat like me, we have a little in common, at least an interest in finances, um, then organizing your finances is kind of difficult, or at least can seem overwhelming. I know I have a desk at home when I'm not deployed, and even something as small as mail piling up on my desk makes me sort of very unmotivated to even work at the desk. I just find it not to be a very comfortable work environment. And that, along with some other things, can really dissuade people from actually getting involved and really learning and knowing about their own finances. And I'm not really talking about people like learning how to invest. I mean just people learning about their own finances, where their own money's going, their own budget, their own tracking, just stuff like that. Like people just, it seems like such an overwhelming thing that I think a lot of people just don't even know where to start when it comes to organizing it. So the first thing I would like to talk to you about is taking an inventory. Do you actually know of all your bills you have each month? I'm not talking about like your expenditures, like food. Yes, I mean like your actual bills, like how much it is, how much money is revolving on debt, what the interest rate is, stuff like that. If you don't, then you're not alone. Like a lot of people don't do that. In fact, I didn't know for the longest time. But the first thing I did was I pulled my credit report. Credit reports are great because they list all of your current lines of credit out. The interest rates on Credit Karma even tells you which day of the month it's due. It's phenomenal. So with that, that was my first thing. All my debts that I owed, how much I owed left. I even made a note for how long I've had the line of credit for. Because if I had it for a while and I didn't make a significant amount paid off, I kind of felt bad. But I would like to know that so I can make more of an effort in the future. After that, I made a list of all my bills, like all my monthly expenditures, utilities, cell phone, car insurance, stuff like that, just steady bills and stuff. I made a list of all that and the due dates. And what I did was I actually had a calendar, um, and it just had which day all of these bills were due. Now, I didn't have a problem making the payments because I had most of the stuff on auto pay. But my problem was that I would sometimes lose track of how much money is about to be deducted. And I never did, but I was always a little worried that I would fall into a negative balance on my checking account, which I was afraid of. Because if you go like $1 into a negative, you end up getting charged $35 or however much it is. Like, I understand why banks do it, but I find it somewhat unfortunate that when you have no money in your bank account, you then get charged for not having any money in your bank account, which is kind of counterproductive. If banks really cared about you having money in your bank account and not just trying to collect fees, they would actually call you with like a financial advisor to try to help you through whatever you're going through. But anyway, whole other tangent. So after you have a list of all that stuff and you know which days it's due, you know the interest rates and stuff like that, that really helps you in the way of organizing how you're gonna pay everything off. But that does not help you with your budget and how you organize your expenditures month to month. So once you have all that stuff and you know when your bills are due, how much they are, at least you know an average. Like for example, an electric bill might fluctuate each month, but if you know what the highest usage in the summer and the lowest usage in winter is going to be, you can average it together and kind of get what you're going to have to spend for the rest of the year. Um, but once you have that, then you can move on to the second thing, and this is like kind of how I go about, because this is something that you should know. There's three important numbers when it comes to your finances you should know. Number one is your net income, how much money you actually make each month after taxes. It's very important because that's kind of going to set the standard for the rest of your expenditures. The second thing you need to know is your credit score. There's a lot of different services you can use. I use Credit Karma, as I've already mentioned in this video, but annualcreditreport.com also gives you a credit report. However, it doesn't give you your credit score unless you pay for it. It'll give you a credit report for free though. However, a lot of banks and even Mint.com will actually have your credit score available for you once you fill out a certain questionnaire and stuff, and they can ping your credit for you. And when you do this, it does not hurt your credit score. When you request your credit score or a credit report, it's what's called a soft inquiry. It does not doesn't affect your credit score overall. Hard inquiries do. And the third thing you should know, the third number, is what your net worth is. And I know it might not be as big of a deal for somebody who's younger, but essentially, when you're working towards retirement, you need to have a certain net worth in order to retire. Well, or at least in most cases, you need to have a certain net worth to retire. Now, what that number is depends on what you want out of retirement, what age you want to retire at, and stuff like that. But you are going to need to have a certain net worth in order to achieve that. You pretty much can't really retire if your net worth is in the negatives. If this whole video series I created is about me increasing my net worth to $500,000 by the end of next year. Like, that's my whole goal because I want to retire early. So once you get those three numbers, the next part's it can be complicated. And it's how you organize everything month to month, how you organize your budget. Now, my main bank is USAA. I know USAA has it, I know Wells Fargo has it, and I think a lot of other banks do, but I can't speak firsthand for it. But you need to track your spending. And I have found the easiest way of doing it is to have a program, a free program. Please, I'm not saying there's no benefits in paying for a program. It's just that if you're trying to save money and stuff, I think it's a better lesson to learn the knowledge and put in the effort than to get a program that might work a little better but cost money, because one, you're spending money on it, but two, I think the really intense automated programs that automatically categorize everything, I think if you're not forced to look at it and be involved, I think you tend to not really appreciate some of the expenditure categories as much. So with Mint.com, it's supposed to be all automated, but it's really not. I know, like, when you go to a gas station, it'll count whether you spend it inside the store or at the pump. It'll count everything as gas when some of it might have been junk food or whatever. I'm from PA, so we go to Wawa a lot, and the thing is that, like, you go to Wawa, it's all counted as gas station. If you just go there for like lunch, it doesn't count that as lunch automatically. You just have to go in there and change the drop-down menu. Super easy, but it is something that requires my attention. But I like that because I need to go in there every couple days, because I need to know for myself, and I think I need to check for myself how I'm doing with my budget categories. But let's assume you don't want to do any of the online things, not with your banking, not with some of the Mint or one of the other competitors. I'm not trying to say that Mint's the only program that does it. It's just that the reason I talk about Mint is because it's the one I personally use and I have experience with, and the one I feel most comfortable with. I'm not sure if it's the best one out there. I've never even tried any of the other programs. So if anybody has any input, leave in the comments below. The other method, and this is what I used to teach in the Navy, which I feel like is an outdated method, but the idea of it makes a lot of sense. At the beginning of the month, you have envelopes for all different categories, for gas, for food, blah, blah, blah. Once you get paid, you take all that money out in cash and you put it in the envelopes. And then that's the money you have for each category. Now, I like the idea in principle, because the one thing that it does do, which I think more people need to get in the mind frame of, is that it cuts down on splurging. Like, let's say you take $200 out to go grocery shopping, then you go grocery shopping. And on the way back, you're like, oh, well, I kind of want a coffee from Starbucks, but you don't have your envelope for coffee at Starbucks. That's it, you just don't get coffee. Well, realistically, the person will probably just go and spend whatever money they have left in the food envelope and just fix it when they get home. But in theory, you're supposed to just not get the coffee. And that's supposed to be the mind frame you have. I think this is outdated because although it's something that was taught in the military, people don't really carry cash. And I don't know if I necessarily like the idea of teaching people to empty out their bank accounts every month. I think that because of the way banks charge fees if the stuff gets too low, or just it takes a lot of discipline to have a whole pocket full of cash and not spend it. And also, I think it increased the chance of something bad happening. You could lose your wallet and lose all your money for the month, stuff like that. So I'm not sure how much I like that idea. I like the idea of people putting money aside at the beginning of the month and then literally only touching it for that category. But when you take it out and put in envelopes, then you physically have something to like push away. It's not just in your mind, your account, so all of it's yours. The way I started doing budgeting wasn't with Mint, actually. It was with spreadsheets. And I'll tell you what I liked about spreadsheets. You had to pay attention to what you were spending on. You need to go on the spreadsheet like 2-3 times a week in order to make sure everything was caught up and everything was good, or else you'd be off by $100 at the end of the month or more and have no idea what happened to it. I liked it for that. I did not mind going in there and typing in each little thing, and it was fine when I was home. The second I went on deployment, the person I was in a relationship with at the time did not want any part of my spreadsheet because, to be fair, it was a complicated spreadsheet and she had to do it for like 330 days. So, okay, it was a little complicated. She didn't want to do it. So it fell into disuse. And then I started going to more automated systems because, I travel a lot and stuff like that. But if you like spreadsheets, there you can get really fancy with spreadsheets and do some really cool budgeting stuff on there. The last suggestion I found online when I was researching this topic was from a user on Facebook who posted in one of the Fire Facebook pages. And they said use a white erase board, and it works really good for a family. Now, I've had this idea before, I haven't implemented it yet, but I like the idea of the family as a whole knowing how much money you have for fun stuff each month. Honestly, I think kids get in the mentality that, like, oh, they can do whatever, have as much fun as they want, without getting the idea that no, things have limits. So I like the idea of putting on a white erase board how much money you actually have for that month for fun family events, and then the kids actually see that number go down, and they also see it go up at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, but they see it go down, so they know, like, wait, there's like a relation between us wanting to do this expensive stuff, and then the consequence that they learn is that after you do that, you can't do any of that really fun stuff anymore. So if you can't spread it out, then you just have to be smart for the remaining time so that you can achieve your goals at the end. Well, so building off that concept of doing it for the kids, you can do it for a lot of different categories, especially like my family. We eat out a lot, and I'm sure you guys know if you've seen multiple videos of mine, but it's just something we do. We go out, like either me and my fiance go out or all of us go out. And having 3 people, but even my son's like taller than I am, so we're pretty much 3 adults going out and getting meals and stuff. It gets expensive, so to have a budget for that each month and have it publicly displayed, I think would really help in that category. All right, guys, so since I like to summarize, I really think if I had to pick one of these methods to suggest to somebody, I would definitely suggest some sort of automated application or website. Mint is a good one, but it's not the only one. It's just the one I use. You can set it up with all your bank accounts. You can even set up your bills for it. It won't pay any of them, but it will remind you when your bills are due. In fact, I get an email letting me know, and then I get reminder emails asking me if I paid it yet, so I have to click it when I pay it, which is fine, and I don't mind that. You can also turn that feature off if it sounds annoying to you. So I know everything I just talked about might sound complicated, and granted, it can be, depending on your financial situation, your home life, and how many expenditures you have going out, it can get pretty complex. But I think it's something that we all kind of need to get better at, especially millennials, my generation. I think that there is a knowledge gap, and getting more organized, I think, could definitely help that, or at least make it seem not as imposing to address. We all kind of need to figure out ways for us to be more comfortable with it, and we just went over basic like budgeting and tracking and knowing some rudimentary information about yourself. We didn't even go into how to organize your investments and stuff like that. That's a whole different video, but I think if you start with this one, you'll be set. Just start at the beginning and start organizing all your finances, and then see where that gets you. I think you'll find it interesting how like addictive it can be to like get your finances kind of in order. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, give me a like or a subscribe or something. If you didn't like it, give me a dislike. I still haven't had any dislikes yet, so be the first. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys watching the video. It's really keeping me very interested in the subject, and I really enjoy it, so I'm glad that people are watching it and enjoying it with me. Anyway, guys, stay safe and keep saving.